Hi-ho, everybody. It's your old pal Fido. I'm back once again with Powie, and we're here to bring you something special. You know what it is. It's week 22 of
Hey man, nice kiss shirt. We dropped out of school when we were 22.
What can we do to satisfy you? It's all for you demons. Rock and roll all night and journal every day.
A year-long guide to celebrating the fun of being a Kiss fan.
That's right.
Well, it took me 22 episodes to learn.
It helps when we're not unisoning each other to death, too.
Right, that's it.
Let's not unison each other to death now. Let's start off with the t-shirt. Getting to the end of the road here. So on the end of the road tour, I saw him 5 times, I think. First leg was Little Caesars in Detroit. Didn't get a shirt, but I did take a Kiss Virgin to that show. That was awesome. We were in the nosebleeds. It was kind of crazy the way it all worked out, but he was happy. He got to see Kiss. As Jimmy Buffett says, don't try to describe a Kiss concert if you've never seen it. And so, yeah, one more convert to the Army that night. But the next time I saw him at Little Caesars was a couple of legs later. It was the final 50 shows. This right here, I'll throw up a little graphique. It's got the chikaras on the sleeves. You know, I'm a sucker for the Japanese script. It felt kind of weird, as it always does, getting a white concert shirt.
Yeah.
But and plus, you know, the Kiss logo is a little unconventional. I just thought it looked really cool. Let's get right into it with, this is a current era of what I'm calling Dynamasked.
The Dynamasked.
The Dynasty Unmasked release anniversaries. We're kicking it off with May 20th. That's when Unmasked was released. May 20th asks, the Kiss Unmasked album cover, hit or miss, and why?
Well, when it came out, I was 10 or 11. So it was a hit with me, except the fact that I thought that Kiss would be unmasked, and they were not.
So did you read about it before you...
I think I did. I want to say that I did.
Probably a shit parade or something.
Probably, or circus or something. Just trying to glean any kind of Kiss information that was out there, thinking that they would be unmasked. So it was like probably the first, 1980, the first clickbait. The first ever episode of clickbait.
Yeah.
But I was not at all deterred.
Well, no, because at that point they'd been doing that. You know, 78. I mean, I guess that's when I remember it most was, you know, like in 16 and Tiger Beat and whatnot. You know, the shots at, you know, at them at the restaurant. You know, with the scarves over their face and whatever. And
yeah, it was Kiss and Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And then we saw Bigfoot on the $6 Million Man.
Oh, you could also see Bigfoot every Saturday, and wasn't that part of the Super Show?
Probably
Bigfoot,
was.
It was Bigfoot and Wild Boy.
Bigfoot and Wild Boy.
There you
Cross
go.
Super Show.
Sid
and Marty Cross.
Yeah. Gotta love that, man. We make plenty of references to the Super Show on this pod, don't we?
Electra Woman and Dinah Girl, man.
Captain Cool and the Kongs.
Yeah.
Say it again, man.
Electra Woman and Dinah Girl against Glitter Rock.
Electra Woman and Dynasty.
Yeah.
Be a mashup you didn't know you needed.
You need it.
So I don't think it was a miss. I mean, again,
the album cover.
Yeah, I mean, I was even younger. I was like 9. So
it's like,
why
would they unmask?
But I mean, just in the rag, I mean, it just looked cool. So of course, it's a hit.
And I stared at the album cover just like everything else, and memorized it. Kiss plays song after song to the delight of the wildly cheering fans. It's like I know it all by heart. Ace, get back in. It's that creepy reporter.
So yeah, obviously you can tell from our reactions it's not going to be a miss. Not here.
Not this time.
Not this time, Devereaux. All right, moving on to May 21st. I like the way you think, Rick. May 21st asked, have you ever noticed the Love Gun album has a Mexican aesthetic? Almost like the inside of a Mexican restaurant. The pillars, Peter's bandoliers, the archway, the stairs. If you've never noticed this, it may be hard to unsee it now. What Kiss album cover have you seen differently than most fans that now you can't shake the image from your head?
That, I didn't get that part of the question.
I'm not really sure about that. I don't know that I necessarily saw anything different. Because...
Differently.
Yeah, differently from my friends. I mean, I'm sure it was,
I did not... This is not... it does not compute. Insufficient data at the moment.
Insufficient data at the moment, Star Child.
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah,
I think I've seen anything differently.
I'm trying to remember, who is it? Is it a friend of Tommy Summers that insists? It's not Izzy Presley. It's somebody sees the back cover, sees the song titles on the back of Love Gun in the shape of a dick. When I look at the back cover, I'm like, okay, I guess if you're looking for a dick, you might find one there. But it's kind of like this. I'm kind of like, I don't know. I do know this. I know that the album cover that like raised more questions than it answered, I guess, it was Hotter Than Hell, the back of Hotter Than Hell. And those pictures, and
that's just a wild potpourri of stuff.
Yeah,
it's just insane.
But the front cover's wild too, because Peter's kind of humping on Paul, and it's a weird one.
Things that's sticking out of Ace that I thought were his arms when I first looked at it. I was like, what in the heck is that?
Oh, the graphic thingies?
Yes, the graphic thingies sticking out of Ace's shoulders.
Well, like I said earlier about my attraction to the Japanese script on this shirt. I mean, I'm sure it all started with
Hotter Than Hell.
With Hotter Than Hell. And I always what's another one that has that sort of like a sinister Asian quality that always kind of fascinated me as a kid. Jefferson Starship. Was that Spitfire was the name of that record? With the sexy chick on the front that's smoking a cigarette, and the smoke is a dragon. It's like a serpent dragon as she's riding it, and it's
Chasing the Dragon.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, and I'm sure it was a drug reference that went way over my head as a kid or whatever, but
post that here.
Yeah, I'll put that here. But I digress. I don't know. I'm sure that a lot of other people in general, were sort of confused by the Hotter Than Hell album cover. So maybe that would be my answer. It'd have to have been something that a 70s era thing that warped my young mind in some fashion. Love Gun, though, I mean, it does have a grandiose kind of a gothic vibe. I don't know if it reminds me of a Mexican restaurant, but
no, I'm not gonna be able to.
I'd love to go into like a fancy sit-down Mexican joint and like maybe like that the owner was a Kiss fan and he decided he was gonna like deck out the dining room in like green marble and, you know, pour some like dry ice fog through the place or something. That'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say the thing about the Love Gun package that got me the most was not even the gun, but the logo, the blood logo on the inner sleeve. I thought that was the coolest thing.
Mm.
So moving on to May 22nd, what Kiss album deserves a deluxe reissue / box set? Design this product below in detail. Well,
okay,
this comes one of those graphic things that I'll never doodle in my journal every day because I'm not a doodler.
My thing would be either Alive or Alive 2, just because I love that. I mean, they did a lot for that, but I mean, my goodness, what we were saying, it's like maybe Alive would release all of the shows.
Yeah,
each individual.
The Davenport, the
yes,
Jersey,
Wildwood, New Jersey,
Detroit, like put all of the, all of the shows uncut. Would be a nice way to like flesh out a box set. Alive 2 though. Alive 2
said it was just the forum and then the I don't know, maybe like photos from the San Diego sports arena where they blew off everything, where they
shot the gatefold.
Yes, and I don't know what Passaic, New Jersey, the rehearsals or whatever.
Well, okay, and so you bring up a good point. Like a lot of the, we all remember back a couple of years ago with all the Sam Loomis leaks. I remember seeing some of those like soundstage rehearsals. They were just black and white, 8mm rehearsals of stuff,
non-makeup stuff.
Like the next box set that comes out, and this would apply especially well to either one of the live albums, is a DVD or two featuring stuff from this, video stuff from this era. Because of the convoluted nature of ownership and what Pop House versus Universal versus Kiss, how it all gets sorted out would be difficult, I imagine. But yeah, I mean, like if it were Alive 2, you could have an expanded set of tattoos. I mean, you could have, you could replicate all of that stuff. You could have an I Was There badge included. You could include a balloon, a replica Kiss balloon. You could put a big white balloon in there. There's all kinds of stuff you could do. You could do that with Alive as well.
Is there any studio box sets that you would like?
Studio, I mean,
Love Gun, maybe?
There's stuff that, I mean, my favorite, well, depending on when you ask, my favorite studio is Rock and Roll Over.
Mine too.
So I mean, I would. I know a lot of that stuff's already, it's already been out. There's bootleg versions of stuff, but
yes,
I as far as like studio outtakes, like I imagine that theater that they recorded it in Connecticut. Like,
no, I think it was in New York.
Oh yeah, I guess Nanuet, New York,
over the Tappan Zee Bridge.
Well, look at you, schooling me, dang. I like it. Yeah, I mean,
once owned by Frank Sinatra.
Really?
Nanuet, yes.
Well, there you go. Now you know.
Wow, can you imagine? Isolated drum tracks from the elevator shaft.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Peter's drawings because they linked him in through video camera
Well, I was
and
gonna
he'd
say,
draw
there
like
was-
a dick
yeah,
and
there
put it up.
was a video link. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that stuff is
Back
lost
to the
to the
dicks.
sands of time. But yeah, wouldn't it be cool to have video footage of the making of rock and roll? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, as long as we're fantasizing about box sets, I mean, let's fantasize. you
Yeah,
know?
let's.
But I think it seems pretty evident at this point that it would be one of the two live albums for us.
Yeah, for me, definitely. Yes.
Probably the first one for me.
Yes.
I mean, Alive is. I mean, that's the first Kiss album I had. So I mean, it means a lot, and I would love to soak up every little morsel of that album.
Absolutely, yes.
May 23rd asks, in your opinion, was Dynasty the return of Kiss or a giant misstep in the band's direction? What's your favorite track from Dynasty and why does it win the top spot? So, was it a misstep?
No, it was the return of Kiss. What else could it have been? I mean, unless they went back and did Rock and Roll Over Part 2. But again, it was the return of Kiss.
It was a year and a half.
So many
since
people were talking about when the solo albums came out. So many people were saying that they were
Kiss is breaking up.
Kiss is breaking up, and it was a lot of folks were saying that, and they had to come out with something. And true, it did off-put me with disco, and the Disco Sucks thing was a Detroit, Chicago thing, and
some people don't know this. Well, I mean, it really wouldn't matter to anyone besides me or anybody else who was there. But the famous Disco Sucks Wrigley Field
was a Tiger game.
throwdown. Not only was it a Tigers game, it was the night before my Dynasty show. So,
Man.
and like we've said a few times, I've said a few times on the pod about how in grade school music was a lot more political in that sense, and there were the kids who were into ABBA and Casey and the Sunshine Band, and if you were those kids, you did not like the kids who were into Kiss,
and vice versa.
There was always that, yeah. So
it's like Kiss always went against the grain.
But I mean, I never
disco was the thing. It was John Denver, and it was the Eagles, and Desperate in the Desert, and Kiss was not that.
But by the time we get, the whole idea that it's like a new studio record, all new material, it seemed so long. Love Gun was a long time ago at that point.
Yes, it
and
was.
So,
what was it? 2 years?
That was a year.
A
It
year.
was 77. I mean, a year and a half to 2 years.
Forever in the music.
Yeah.
In that time,
and just my young life, and that was a lot of time. I moved around a lot.
If anything was a misstep, was the tour. And they thought they were going to do 4 nights at Madison Square Garden. They thought they were going to do 2 nights in Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
play the full stadium.
And they thought that they built another stage. They had 2 stages so they could leapfrog, and that didn't. They were pissing money.
Yeah,
just
absolutely
so much. So if anything was a misstep, it was that.
I mean, I think you could say that there's a whole era, from the promotion of the solo albums, on through, to Elder and beyond, that was, waning fortunes for Kiss. But just from my perspective at the time, and even the whole disco thing, like I understood the difference between, like, when I heard Dynasty, I was expecting a lot more disco. I was expecting like a bunch of "I Was Made for Loving You," and you did not get that. A lot of Ace tunes, a lot of rockers on that record.
2000 Man. That's probably my
Would
favorite
that be
track.
your favorite?
I think so. That or Hard Times. I think.
Yeah.
I think the Ace tracks. You know, Ace had the best selling solo album. Really had the highest charting single.
Mm-hmm.
Gene and Paul took notice and said they want Ace. Let's give him some Ace.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you got, Ace? So
he came through. He came through on that.
He
so
did.
I mean, I think it's.
But we were talking about Magic Touch.
Oh,
Magic
I love
Touch.
Magic Touch. I love that.
Like,
it depends on what day you ask me whether I'm going to say like "Save Your Love" or "Hard Times" or "Magic Touch."
Or Sure Know Something.
Yeah. You know, I really didn't. My appreciation for Sure Know Something, although it was exciting at the time, especially with the Jerry Lewis MDA telethon and then playing it on TV.
Yes.
But when we put the band together, when we did Great X years later, and that was one of the first tunes that we jammed, and I remember Dave starts boo doo doo doo. He plays that bass line, and I'm like, oh yeah, like it hadn't even occurred to me that we could do that song if we wanted to.
And I didn't even know it at that point.
It was. Yeah. I mean, it's a nostalgic favorite, but yeah, I think my favorite tune would probably be a toss up between Magic Touch and Hard Times. Just.
I'm warming to Dynasty more than, Unmasked.
Oh, for sure.
Or Elder.
I never had to warm to. I've always been a huge fan of that record.
It was the disco thing that threw me, and I was like, this is contradictory to rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
This is not rock and roll.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because knowing how It's All For You, Demon regards the album as a Christmas album, and that's how it feels to him. And from my perspective, you couldn't get any less of a winter vibe. It's the summer of '79, man.
It certainly is.
That song was. I Was Made
July
for Loving
13th.
You was all over the radio. Like
it was.
It was a constant thing. It's such a summer jam, and it's just funny how the individual perspective can color something like that, whether it's an album or a movie, or the way each of us thinks about it is endlessly fascinating. It's a hell of a reason to do a podcast.
That's why we do it.
That's why we're here, because it's fun.
It's fun
to compare and contrast personal experiences.
I never knew he thought of it as a Christmas.
Yeah. It's like a winter vibe. Like he will post pictures of the Barry Levine session where they're like in the snow with the candles and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he thinks of that when he listens to each their own.
There's no wrong.
There's no wrong answer when it comes to Kiss.
Exactly. Which brings us to
May 24th. If you could own any film prop used in the making of Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, what would it be and why?
I thought the Devereaux's console and turn it into a recording studio situation with the whole swivel around and everything.
Yeah, have
spin it all around.
Swivel chair and some reel-to-reels and a bunch of tape rolling all. Yeah.
Come ahead, Kiss, and record.
Devereaux. We gonna get
Almost
a spit take out here?
Pretty close, man. I was gonna.
Nice.
What's yours?
Mine would be the cybernetic werewolf head. They all lose their heads over you, Paul. Did he say Star Child? Did I fucking botch a
Paul.
line.
No, you
I
ain't gonna use
thought-
your heads over you, Paul.
I thought he said Paul, yeah.
He did.
But yeah, like, remember,
Apes is more like it.
I think I remember reading in that, gosh, I'm trying to think of the name of the movie. Was it Hooper? Was that the Burt Reynolds
Reynolds?
movie about the stuntman?
I did not see that one,
Yeah.
but I know about it.
But the stunt coordinator and like a really good friend of Burt Reynolds was Buddy Joe Hooker.
Oh,
Who I believe was
The
Peter's
stunt coordinator, yes.
stunt coordinator.
I was
Peter's
just
double.
going through Peter's book last night, and he said that he just freaking decked a guy. Peter did. Like, according to him in his book, and I don't know how true this is, but the Buddy Joe, like, jumped in his shit. What makes you think you can hit my guy? And Peter was like,
was it during the evil kiss? Was it?
It was during the samurai deal. The samurai guys.
Oh.
Peter said that he slugged a guy, and Buddy Joe jumped in his shit. And it's according to Peter.
Well, yeah.
If anybody else wants to contradict that, we can. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know how during the samurai guys, when did he throw a punch? I saw him duck a guy, and
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch Attack of
exactly.
the Phantoms.
It's like, is this like some stuff that we have not seen? Is this some footage that's been on the cutting room floor, possibly?
The plot thickens.
Oh,
The
robes,
Oh.
the crazy robes on the chair at the pool.
Oh yeah.
What about that?
Yeah,
Would you like to have one of those?
That would be a pretty cool prop. We were joking earlier about.
And they've got guns.
Well, and didn't I don't know if I had heard that John 5 had it, or I heard that somebody had like Melissa's couch.
Oh yeah, the snake,
snaky-
the snake
snaky
couch,
couch.
the snake couch.
Yeah.
But Sam turned it all over. He threw it all over.
There's a few things that would be really cool. The box,
with the talisman in it.
The talisman would be groovy. But
Talisman.
those robes are pretty badass, though.
Right.
The pool robes. But no, for my money,
You're welcome.
It's the silver suited apes.
Yes.
That ape head with the exposed circuitry and stuff in the stump. I'd like to have one of those on my back here, maybe propped up on top of the Kiss record player. Would be pretty groovy to have. May 25th. In what decade do you feel Kiss was the most honest to the vision Gene and Paul held of forming the band they had never seen on stage? What drove your answer?
It's so hard because I said like 77, 78 because that was the pinnacle. And that was everything that the band and Bill thought that they could be. But gosh, you want to go back to like 74, 70,
Well, really, no one can really. The only accurate answer to this could be given by Gene and Paul.
Exactly.
It was their vision, and it was what they imagined. And I think, to your point, it is easy to imagine that when they are most successful financially, popularity-wise, 77, 78 in the Super Kiss era, Gallup poll #1 and all that, that would have been closest to the vision, and how that manifests in the stage set, the Love Gun, that Love Gun stage. I don't have a steel trap memory of an interview with Gene or Paul where they address this, where it's like, when was your thing like really the most crystallized.
Exactly. Yeah,
to
that'd
you.
be a neat question to.
Yeah, because I mean, there had to be a point where they thought like, okay, well, we'll do this because it's bombastic, but maybe this is pushing it a little bit. I'm sure Ace thought that at a certain point. Maybe Dynasty would have been.
That's what I'm thinking too, because
the divergent point, you know, with the color scheme and the.
Yeah, were they unhappy? Peter was unhappy, but he was unhappy about a lot of things, and he was unhappy.
He's a moody little cat.
Yeah, he was grumpy cat.
He's just a bitch. So I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, boy, you know, the way they carried themselves on stage when they were young and hungry in '75. There's a case to be made for that. But I mean, I think because, you know, their whole ethos is just bigger and bolder. You're probably right. You're probably, you know, just before the cracks started to show in '78, you know.
You know, you could go back to '76 with Gene with the scaly dragon boots. That just, I mean.
Well, and the original Destroyer stage design was really ambitious.
Oh, yes. But supposedly they didn't know anything about that until they showed up, and Ace didn't like it. Ace said it looked like a fruit salad, and they scrapped a bunch of it.
Yeah.
Sean Delaney claims that everybody got together and just started destroying the Destroyer set.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there was some of that. So, I mean... But, you know, the question asks Gene and Paul.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, we can sort of like X Ace and Peter out of the picture, you know, especially Peter.
Right.
In terms of his, you know, discontent or whatever. But
right. Yeah. So Gene and Paul's vision of the band they never saw.
But all we really have to do is narrow it down to a decade, and it has to be the '70s, because by the time the '80s rolled around, the bloom was fading off the rose, and I'm sure even Paul and Gene were sort of like, what are we doing at this point? They were floundering, and even if they weren't letting on to anyone else, they knew it. So yeah, I mean, the decade is the '70s. We're just trying to put a finer point on that.
Okay.
So
yes. If you want to say decade, just that's easy.
So all of our blather is just extra credit.
Extra credit.
What do we win? We win a first-class ticket to May 26th. As the members of KISS all use pseudonyms different from their birth names, what would be your rock star pseudonym? How would you craft your rock star autograph?
Oh, I didn't get that part either.
And see, the questions that I send you that are on the screen as I'm reading this are slightly, I edit for conciseness. So yeah, this expounds in the book. It's a little more in depth. How would you craft your rockstar autograph and end today's entry with your alter ego's autograph? Mine's easy because since I was about 6, 7, I was christened Fido Kennington, and it's a long story that I may tell in another episode, or not at all. I like telling that story in person, but yeah. So I mean, I've always had Fido Kennington in the back pocket for that sort of thing, and I signed drumsticks and CDs. I've signed enough crap in my career as a thousandaire rock star over these years that Fido has his own autograph. It's different from Chad's, and maybe I'll throw it here. But
yes. Yeah. We were talking about this as like
I could have sworn that somebody had given you some kind of crazy nickname, or maybe you came up with something that was hilarious. We've always goofed around with Pasapadamans,
Yeah,
as they are known.
the Sapadamans, and yeah, it's like Rudy Vega, and I can't think of all the wonderful names that we have.
All the names that
created.
have been hurled at you over the decades.
It's like, I mean, I always thought
Wilderness Jones.
Wilderness Jones. Wow. Yeah. Oh gosh.
BS Powers. I mean, there are many.
So
I am
many.
known by many names.
I am known by many. Yes. Gosh, it's hard. But I mean, at one point, I had come to the realization that my name is pretty cool. So, like, as I was saying, David Lee Roth, Joe Lynn Turner, Jeff Scott Soto, Brian Scott Powers.
I'd like to see more of what I've been seeing lately, which is people sounding off in the comments.
Talk to me.
Yeah, talk to me. There's been some really good stuff. Got a lot of good feedback on the John 5 episode. We're over 1,000 views on that. That's the new. It's the new leader of the pack of the Hey Man Nice Kiss shirt
in unison.
But
thanks, yeah, everyone for watching and looking and talking and seeing, and let's discuss.
Yeah, discussing, commenting, and liking, subscribing. We like all that stuff.
We do.
We've been ramping up on that, and I really appreciate it. So, in closing, I just want you to remember the words of the Barbarian from '77.
Play hard.
Play fair.
Nobody hurt.